Hello there, Ben Bowers, the Spirit Specialist, and I'm here today to talk to you about Three Wrens Spiced Rum. Now, if you've seen some of my videos from probably about over a year ago now, because Three Wrens is one of the first products that I bought into the shop when I opened it, you'll know that they do quite a lot of gins, and gins that I really enjoy. Nick Wadeson, who set up the business, has done a fantastic job of producing flavoured gins that are done properly. No artificial flavourings added. You know, he has got an apple crumble gin, which to this day I still think is an absolutely incredible achievement, because he's using natural ingredients to create a gin that genuinely tastes like apple crumble without being sickly sweet, artificial. It's light, it's almost refreshing. It works really well with a long drink. It works really well in sours and the equivalent of daiquiris and everything like that. So when Nick announced that they were going to be doing a spiced rum, I was very intrigued. And this does something a little bit different. I think this is really interesting. But before I tell you what it tastes like and why I think it's interesting, here's some background information about Three Wrens and then also the makeup of this particular spiced rum.
The Three Wrens distillery was originally based in Cholmondeley, Cheshire, and founded by Nick Wadeson in August 2019. Nick had previously worked as a mixologist, bar owner and brand manager before realising a long-time dream to create his own brand of gin. A handmade copper pot still named Valerie is used for production, and all of the gins are single shot, meaning dilution only uses water as opposed to a combination with neutral spirit, with each batch producing about 100 bottles. In March 2022, Three Wrens opened a new, larger distillery facility with a cocktail bar and cafe in Combermere near Nantwich, which enabled them to increase production with the addition of Jill, a second still, plus a gin school for guests to make their own spirit with the help of a botanical wall. As well as an original dry gin, Three Wrens also features a range of differing flavoured gins. These are created by macerating various ingredients in their wheat-based spirit before redistilling, and those ingredients are in the main locally sourced from the fields and forests surrounding the distillery. Three Wrens Spiced Rum is the first rum product from the company and was launched in July 2022 using a 96% ABV Jamaican rum distillate, which was redistilled and then infused with bisongrass, tonka beans, vanilla, nutmeg and a few other secret ingredients for around 14 days. It's bottled at 40% ABV.
Okay, so I was given a couple of miniatures by Dan, who's their new sales guy, ambassador, brand ambassador, I suppose you call him. Now, Dan I knew in my previous job working for Gordon MacPhail while he was working at a wine shop in Nantwich, and absolutely lovely bloke. So Dan, if you're watching, hello, it would be very good to have a catch up. And Nick, if you're watching, Dan is a top bloke. You did really well to employ him. So as I say, I was looking forward to this. I was very intrigued, particularly when Dan told me what the makeup was, because bisongrass is more well known for being involved in vodka. Zubrovka is probably the best known one. You can find Zubrovka on supermarket shelves. It's the one that's got that single, I was about to say grain of bisongrass, that single piece of grass. There's a word for, you know, strand of grass, whatever it's called, a single bit of grass, one of those in the bottle. And it creates a vodka that is slightly fragrant, slightly sweet. It's bisongrass and bisongrass, sweetgrass, whatever you want to call it. It offers a flavour profile that I really struggle to describe. I find it incredibly hard to compare it to something for people that haven't encountered bisongrass to be able to go, oh, right, I understand what the flavour profile is like. It's really quite distinctive, or it might just be me being a numpty, not being able to describe what that flavour profile is. It's sweet and yet it's sharp and it's fragrant and it's kind of citrusy, but not. It's got that grassy element. It's a wonderful flavour, and it's something that I'm a little bit of a sucker for, but I find really hard to kind of get across to people that haven't had it clearly enough for them to be able to understand kind of what flavour profile it offers. But it's unusual for it to be involved in a rum. So the bisongrass gin that Nick produced, I believe was, and he certainly claimed, was the first bisongrass gin, if not the world, certainly in the UK. It was more well known for using it in vodka. And now we have it in this spiced rum as well. But we've also got these other kind of like tonka beans is a little bit more unusual, because tonka beans offer you kind of a slightly sweet creamy type of food. You've got the vanilla, you've got the nutmeg in there. There's these other secret ingredients, which Dan hasn't divulged to me. He's kind of hoping that he would, but there are apparently some secret ingredients in there. So, as I said in the blurb, Jamaican rum distillate. So hopefully we're going to get a little bit of that funky note coming through as well. Now it's coming across at 96%. So it's similar to what some British rums are doing, where they're bringing Caribbean rum across at a really high strength and kind of doing the work from there. So it's the equivalent of doing like new make spirit and then working on it from that. But hopefully we'll get some of that funky note coming through as well. And it's also bottled at, was it 46? 40%, not 46. Bottled at 40% as well. So on the nose, straight away, there's a fragrancy to it. The bisongrass is really quite forward, and it's sweet and spicy and fragrant, and there's elements of Thai food coming through. But I also get this sweetness, and the overriding feel for me is Karamak bars. Now, I don't know if you can get them around the rest of the world, but Karamak bars are still going in the UK as far as I'm aware, and it's a chocolate bar, it's a caramel chocolate bar. I don't even know how they make Karamak. I don't actually know if it's like caramel flavored white chocolate, but it's essentially like a thin, wide kind of like slab of chocolate, but not a very thick slab. That when I was a kid, I remember thinking it was always really sickly, but as I got older, I really, really started to appreciate it. And it's got that real caramel sweetness on it. But what's unusual, and this is going to sound a bit, and it might put some people off if they pick it up, but there's almost a slight vegetal note to it. And I think it's that amalgamation of flavors of the sweetness of the tonka bean and the fragrancy of the bisongrass in particular, that hints of vanilla, that hints of nutmeg. There is a lot going on in this nose, to the point where it almost becomes, and I'm gonna say it, but I don't mean it in a detrimental feel. I'm getting hints of kind of like farmyards, because farmyards sometimes can be an overpowering of loads and loads of different aromas going on, and your brain is almost kind of struggling to separate everything out because there is such an intensity of aromas that's going on. And it's sort of in here. I do get this kind of sweet, sour, savory, fragrant, spicy, soy sauce, umami, Asian food, sweetness, ice cream. There's so much going on this nose that it's almost a little bit overwhelming. And I can imagine it might be a bit too full on for some people, which for a spiced rum is, you know, a lot of people, particularly if you just drink things like Sailor Jerry, Crack and Captain Morgan, it is going to be like, they're so one note, it defies belief how just one note, plain, dull, boring those can be. This is the other end of the spectrum. There is so much going on in here. But for, without wishing to sound kind of demeaning, mainstream rum drinkers, the ones that are used to sort of kind of not much of a flavor profile, it's a sweet rum in essence. I mean, that, you know, a spiced rum is essentially flavored rum. It's just, it tends to have more kind of like spicy, fruity characters to it than flavored rum like a pineapple or a banana. But, you know, mainstream spiced rum is pretty ordinary, and it's more just like a sweet rum. It's kind of like, oh, it tastes a bit like Christmas cake, and that's it. Whereas there are some spiced rums out there, as the rum category is growing as a whole, there are some spiced rums out there that are really going in very different directions. You know, chili flakes, spicy spiced rum, or really sweet or really intense. And this is one of those that is not going to an extreme, but doing a lot with it and going like, right, if we're going to make a spiced rum, let's do something that really stands out. And I love the fact it does this. Nick's not just done, let's make a spiced rum. Yeah, let's make it taste a bit like Christmassy, a bit cinnamony, nice and sweet. We'll sell loads at Christmas. This is something a bit different, but done really, really well. And I've not even put any in my mouth yet. That's just on the nose. But I can imagine some people are going to nose that and go, oh, like, wow, oh, that's weird. And I think that could be not a common mention, but I think a few people will nose this, and that will be, it's weird because there is so much going on the nose. But kind of fortunately, on the palate, it's not as intense as on the nose. And I think if it wasn't as intense on the nose, it really would be like, whoa, blimey, what's going on here? What we get on the palate, much more of that sweeter note, the Karamak bar feel, the best way I can describe it, is there. It feels like the tonka bean. So whereas on the nose, it was very much bisongrass forward, supported by tonka bean vanilla, secret ingredient. On the palate, you get the tonka bean is coming more forward. So you're getting like a sweet creaminess coming through, and then that slightly sweet, fragrant bisongrass note is just dialing down a little bit. And actually, it's on the palate, it's arguably a better balance of flavors going on than not the cacophony of aromas that's going on in there, but the intensity of the aromas. If that continued into the palate, I think it would be a little bit OTT. I think it helps it's at 40% as well. I think if it was bottled at say 46, it would probably just be a little bit too much. There's a nice sweetness to it. There's a really good texture as well. There's actually quite a thick, creamy texture, which does help with the creamy flavor profile of the tonka bean, the vanilla, that sweeter notes that's in there. The bisongrass is a little bit more in the background, but it's still introducing that kind of sweet, slightly spicy, slightly spiky note that's coming through, but it's much more in the background. I don't get much of a Jamaican rum funkiness. Again, probably for the best. Something that you wouldn't really want to go too overpowering. Jamaican rum, a bit like Marmite, people kind of love it or you hate it. It's nice to have it in the background. It really does add an extra dimension to things like flavored rums, blended rums, that sort of thing. But full-on Jamaican rum is for some people just too weird, too funky. But I think it's an element in what's going on with this complexity of flavors. And there is a lot going on with these flavors. It does drink very, very well neat on its own. It makes a brilliant daiquiri, as Dan suggests. It also makes a really, really good cable car. So a cable car, if you've never had one before. So the sidecar, which is traditionally cognac, lemon juice, and sugar syrup, and if you want an egg white. A sidecar is essentially, a cable car is essentially a sidecar, but you replace the cognac with spiced rum. Some people will just say rum, but spiced rum classically is, it's a daiquiri, you swap out the lime for the lemon. It's a sidecar, you swap out the cognac for spiced rum. That sort of thing. So daiquiri, sidecar, whether you want to use lime or lemon, this, sugar syrup, egg white if you wish, if you want that kind of frothy head on it, or the egg white syrup that I sell, and then you've got both in one bottle. Cocktail-wise, works really well. But for people that, and rum is growing as a category, and spiced rum and flavored rum are the two parts of that category, which is driving rum as a category as the whole. Spiced rum in particular, the drivers for spiced rum growth is Kraken, Captain Morgan Spiced, Sailor Jerry's. That's what a large proportion of people that come into my shop say, I want to buy a present. They like spiced rum. Normally it's, where's your rum section? There's the rum section. Are you after anything in particular? Oh, they drink spiced rum. Okay, what spiced rums do they drink? Oh, Kraken. Oh, Captain Morgan. Oh, Sailor Jerry. More often than not, those three. They're okay. They're just dull. They're just boring. There's nothing wrong with them per se. Although I do think the Captain Morgan Tiki in particular is really, really not good at all. But that is what a lot of people are drinking. And in essence, people are looking for that, well, they've had those, I want to take the next stage up. For those people, this is almost a little bit too far out there. This is for people that are exploring spiced rum as a category, that have already had other spiced rums within that particular category. This is more on the outer edge of, this is doing something different. This is doing something really interesting. This is one that people need to try. If you spot this in a shop, and ideally you're getting it from me, either this video will give you an idea of what to expect, or if you come in the shop, you can try it first. Because this is doing something very, very interesting in terms of the spiced rum category and what spiced rum can do. But I think people just buying it on spec, going, it's a really pretty looking bottle. And, Three Wrens do have gorgeous bottles. People potentially are going to pick this up going, oh, it says spiced rum on the label, and they drink spiced rum, they drink Captain Morgan's. That's going to be, this is not Captain Morgan's. This is out there compared to that. So I would urge some kind of caution for people that are looking at this and thinking of buying it as a present, knowing that this is going to be a little bit wacky and it might come across wrong, even though this is doing an amazing job. I love this. I love what this is doing. Just different and interesting. I love the flavor profile in this. I have had it in as a cable car, and it just worked so well, because that sour citrus note of I actually prefer it in a cable car than a daiquiri. I think lemon juice works better than lime juice with this, but both work really well. It adds an extra dimension when you get that fragrant, a lime juice kind of accentuates the kind of Thai feel of it, the Thai food feel. The lemon juice works well with that slight sharpness of the bisongrass, but then you get the sweetness of the tonka bean and the vanilla coming through as well. It's a really interesting spiced rum, but I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think Nick's made it for everybody as much as they and I would like to sell it to everybody. It's definitely one that is worth trying. And if you like rums, if you like spiced rums, and if you like trying things that are a little bit different, a little bit out of the ordinary, absolutely give this a go. It's really well made, really interesting, really different. But if you just want a mainstream sweet spiced rum, this probably isn't for you. Go for, I've got some equivalents to Kraken, that sort of feel. This is, I like trying new stuff. I like trying different stuff. I want something interesting. I want something to kind of play around with and sort of see what it goes with. It's okay with Coke, which is how a lot of people drink spiced rum. Doesn't really do it any favors, to be honest. It's better as a neat or a proper cocktail spiced rum. So it is available. It's $39.99, same as the rest of the Three range. You can purchase it online. I do UK nationwide delivery, so that's www.spiritspecialist.com. Or I've got that remaining, and I've also got another miniature because Dan was generous enough to send 2 miniatures. So if you do want to come in the shop and try it before you buy it, you are of course more than welcome. Right, that's me done. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.